Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, where every journey starts with a little bit of magic.
Welcome to episode 26 of Castles of Cauldrons. I am your host, Jason Davis. I am joined with Micah and Terry. Rachel is not with us tonight. She is representing magical travel at Universal this week. She was at the opening of Epic Universe, the best day that we've been waiting for. And we will be talking a lot about that next week with her and what her experience was like for those couple of days, and what her general thoughts were. We're not going to go full on in depth since we talked about it a few weeks ago with a lot of the other agents that have gotten to experience it. They did live stream the Epic Universe stuff, so I watched it. Did either of you?
Part of it. I didn't get to watch a ton of it. We were super busy today, so I'm sure I'll catch up on it.
I felt like they drug it out because it started at 6, and I think when I logged in, it was like 8 o'clock, and I was still watching some of the stuff with the little promos and stuff that they were doing for the different things, but I was also having to get Kova in bed, so I had to end up turning it off and not really getting to watch the whole firework. Did they show the fireworks and drone show on it? I'm kind of sad I missed that.
It was 4 hours long. Just to let it, if you go on their YouTube, you can watch the whole 4 hour production. It's the blue carpet. They have interviews with people like Danny Elfman, the CEO of the Universal Resort and Parks, some random actors, actresses that, are C-list celebrities. And then they talk about some of the lands and how they designed them. It's cool. It's informative. A lot of the big information, though, they pulled out and made separate videos for.
Like different segments that they
play. So like when the twins came out for Harry Potter and is it Warwick? Is that his name?
Warwick Davis.
Warwick. Yeah. So he was there. And they pulled that stuff out from the Harry Potter where they walked around and looked at the wands and stuff like that. They pulled out, here's how we composed the music for Celestial Park. Those are really cool informative things if that's your cup of tea. I like that stuff that I watched. The big thing was the fireworks. And that was huge. They had drones in the park, and every land had its own little thing. The water park, the water features. It's just like, will we have something like that every night? No, but this really does make you want to have something that nice.
That was going to be my question. How often would they do something that caliber?
Yeah, maybe anniversaries, but the ending, if you've ever been to the Christmas party or the Halloween party, the last part of it is 180 fireworks, and it's almost like a daylight sky. That's what it looked like on the live stream for the ending for Epic Universe. So that's pretty cool.
I feel like I want to go find it and then just watch the fireworks.
It's like the last 30 minutes of the stream. So if you're going to go watch it, go ahead and skip through the 3.5 hours worth of randomness. And, but it's all on their site. And then they had another small opening this morning for the official opening for the guest. They repeated the fireworks show for the most part. It's the same music, same layout, but it's daytime fireworks. So it's like dye smoke they shoot up, and the drones weren't there. But it's pretty cool. It's not as exciting. But
I loved the individual openings that they were showing for like each of the lands or worlds. Worlds.
So for media, what they did was, I guess Tuesday, they opened How to Train Your Dragon and Mario. And they had the whole cast come out for both of those. And just like Hiccup did the whole intro that you hear at the beginning of How to Train Your Dragons. Mario came out and they did the little Mario dance type thing, and fireworks shot off and they went back in. Harry Potter, they did on Wednesday, Harry Potter and Dark Universe, and they did the same type of thing where it was the monsters come out, and Victoria Frankenstein actually gives the pre-ride spiel that you have when you're in there with the monster and her and what she's doing. And they just played some Harry Potter stuff, and the twins and Davis talked about how awesome this land is because, they're not going to make something up for Harry Potter. But that's about all for Epic. Like I said, we're not going to get too deep into it. It's not it's a huge deal for us. Obviously, I love it. I was watching everything for opening day talking to a bunch of our agents that are down there enjoying it. I'm going to be there here in a couple of days. So I'm really, really looking forward to being back in that park.
I'm curious to know, when you go, the difference between like crowd levels and how things were for previews versus like official opening. Cause like stuff I'm seeing today on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, like the parking lot wasn't even a quarter of the way full today. Like they were saying that they must have held back tickets for it to not be as busy.
You're talking about the picture I sent y'all, right?
Yeah.
So I want to preface that picture is by Reconstruct. The tweet is by him. He's very knowledgeable in theme parks. He's a really good theme park photographer. He's kept us all up to date on the construction of Epic. So I don't know what he's going to do now. Maybe go over to Disney and keep us updated there. But he took a picture about noon today being Thursday, opening day of Epic. And the theme park parking lot was actually not even halfway full. And his tweet was more or less, they've capped capacity to mainly Universal guests, and they're holding back tickets just to make sure everything runs right. And that lines up with the lines we saw. It was a lot of 5 to 10 minute waits. I think the longest, obvious, was going to be Battle of the Ministry. We saw it at a 5-hour wait at one point, and it was down most of the day. When it finally came back on, it was 180, I think. But the lines were just short. Like no one was there, and I think that was not something everybody was expecting. We were expecting to hear hour upon hour waits for these rides, and I think Universal though did the right thing and capped it. So I am curious too. Is it going to be the same thing on Sunday when I go in the park, or is it going to be that they've increased it by 5,000-6,000 people?
I'm surprised that they capped it as much as they did today, because they've had a month of previews to fix bugs and stuff.
Same kind with Ministry of Magic still because being down today.
The day we were there, there wasn't anything down other than in the Untrainable Dragon show. Like we didn't get Toothless flying over us. That was the only thing that wasn't like working, but they didn't have the show canceled.
I really think Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying, my friend that went at the same time you did almost, she said the same thing. She was like, nothing was down. Everything was working. They were so impressed. And it's like, as the previews have gone on, it's almost like more stuff has gone down. And, you see more complaints of people online. They're like, oh, I know it's a preview and I paid to be here, but this and this weren't working all day.
I think it was smart for them because at the end of the day, these are the tickets that were purchased as soon as it was announced. These are those people that we had to book a resort stay for. They had to get a 3-day ticket, 2 days at the Legacy Parks, 1 day separate for Epic. So these were the people that they knew were coming to go to just for Epic. And they were the super fans. They weren't planning vacations around it. They were planning around being here for opening day. I think that's what they were looking for. They wanted the real world experience of APs and all that for the past few weeks. Obviously, we had general public get previews at the last week or so of this, but they wanted a good opening day. They didn't want, hey, Universal opened this park and it's just everything's down. Twitter's blowing up about how bad this place is. If you say it's a 5-hour wait for Battle, that's 5 hours less than Hagrid's was on opening day.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
I think that's the press they wanted. They want to say, see, Harry Potter's still popular, 5-hour wait. The rest of the park is running well. Because you did have stuff go on and off. I saw monsters go down for a few minutes. Curse of the Werewolf went down for a few. So stuff went up and down all day.
I mean, unpopular opinion, like the Harry Potter ride's great, but it's not worth 5 hours to stand in line for. I wouldn't want to wait more than an hour and a half for it. Like it was a good ride, but not like Hagrid's. I would wait a while to ride. I love Hagrid's, but that one, no. Like I would wait longer to ride Monsters Unchained than I would Ministry of Magic.
I would agree that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave the rest of the Epic conversation for next week when Rachel returns. I think she'll have some good insight as somebody who doesn't like the thrill rides as much as us. I was getting a bunch of texts about, can I do this? Can I do this type thing? So I'll like to hear her side of what she enjoyed and what she didn't enjoy. We'll move on to Disney World, where we'll spend the rest of the day. We've got the first look at our new show called Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After, which is going to be in not Magic Kingdom, in Hollywood Studios, replacing the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy back by Rock and Roller Coaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's a maybe a minute video that they put out on
Disney
social
Parks
medias.
put it out, and then
Mhm.
other people, I guess, that were invited media wise to be there were taking videos of it.
Yeah, there's a 15-minute one on YouTube I watched today.
What
It's
is
like
it
the whole show.
Oh my god!
Already the
I don't
whole
know how
show,
long
and
it'll be up there, but
it's
up
supposed
there.
to not even officially open until the 27th of May.
Yeah, so Saturday, my plan is to go to Hollywood Studios and do my farewells to Muppets. And I was like, I'll do this show and the Little Mermaid show, forgetting that they don't open for another couple of days. But
Right.
I might have previews or something, and I might try to swing in and watch it. But I will say I am pleasantly surprised at how the villains themselves look.
That they made Hook a face character.
They're all face characters.
Well, Hades is just on screen, though, right?
But he's a face character.
Yeah.
I mean, Hades looks stupid. I mean, to me. And they had to put Hades on a screen because his hair's on fire. He uses flames in his hands. They changed the colors. It looks bad. It looks
like it's from The Descendants, like those Disney Channel movies.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it looks like. But I love those movies. FYI, I'm in my 30s and I've watched all of those movies except for the newest one, Turning Red. I couldn't get into that one because it's not the same cast.
Well, they just released a trailer for a new one today. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
But
there's a zombies movie coming out.
Maybe that was the one. I don't know. But anyways, back to the villain stuff. It was Maleficent, Hades, Captain Hook,
Cruella de Vil.
Cruella.
And there was one more that I saw, right?
There was the mirror that kind of narrates.
Oh, yeah, the mirror.
Talks through the whole thing.
Is the evil queen there?
Yes, that was the other one. She's there.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you've been to, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you've been to Disney.
Or you want to go.
Or if you want to go, we'll be happy to book your trip with you.
That's those villains usually are mask characters, especially Hook. Cruella has a mask, I think, sometimes, depending on time and day, but she can be a face.
Hades is normally Maleficent's a face character.
She is.
Yeah.
I thought she was
So she's usually
she's
a
got
face
the
character.
big horns.
So it's good it's good to see that they're putting the money in, like the villain club that they had a few years ago. They were all face characters, and it's okay. And it looks like they're really singing. So it looks like they paid like equity people to come in here and actually give on a good show.
Well, I think if they want to launch an entire villains land, I mean, they've got to soft launch something that's really good for people to like say, are they really interested in something like this?
Yeah.
And I don't think people would be really interested if they weren't face characters, because they would just be too fake almost. Like, you kind of want to feel like they're one of you in a way.
I'll go on that with your interactions with Gaston. It's always I say negative. I don't mean negative in a bad way. I mean negative like he is a villain. So he is fun of you.
But you want to interact with it.
Yes, that's how you want it to be. You want it to be, I'm bigger than you. You're not pretty. You are pretty. You love me.
Or the evil queen interactions at what's the restaurant? Artist Point.
Yeah, over there on Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah. Everyone loves their interactions with her.
They're snarky, but they're not mean. You know, it's like it's a really good line that they just toe in the middle that makes you want to interact with them.
So if you sit there and test this out and get all this worked out, where these people have costumes and look good, if the villain land ever happens, you'll know, and I think they know anyway, they're going to have talking villains, because you want to have that snark.
Yeah.
to the whole
Yeah.
thing. You want to be, feel bad about yourself going into villain's land and them all hating you.
And they're like really leaning into the villain thing because they also just released a villain spirit jersey where on the back where it says like Walt Disney World, it's all different villains with the letters. Like each letter is a different villain. So they're really
cool.
like pushing towards this and maybe trying to get that feel for how many people really want this villain stuff.
Well, now that you say that, it makes me think of one of the things I read today about Epic was that someone was talking about the only thing that they noticed that there were no kids there really, that it was all adults. And I think it was because who they let in today, but also, that it was a more adult theme park. Like kids kind of go to Disney, but the older they get, they want the rides are bigger, the movies that Universal represents are more older. So I think this is also a way for Disney to try to pull back, some of that. It's not monsters and it's not older movies, but it is not just Frou Frou, Magic Kingdom, Fairy Dust, everything's magical, wonderful. It pulls in a crowd that might be like, okay, it's a little edgy. It's not way edgy, but it's interesting enough.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with it, what the reception is for this show. I'm going to watch it now that you've sent us the link so we can see it.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree with the whole like not as many kids things. Like when we were there over our spring break, even being in like Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, when Kova was playing in the Viking training camp, like it's a giant playground. I think there was one other kid in there playing with him.
Yeah.
Like in Super Nintendo, he was one of the only kids running around and playing those games. Like it was mostly adults there. Like he's big enough to ride all the rides, like he's tall enough. But I kind of agree with that. Like it definitely does feel a little bit more adult. Like you need older kids that want to go do those things. Cause like he wasn't entertained in the Harry Potter area. Like he rode the ride, he was fine. He watched the show and then he was like, all right, let's go back to Super Nintendo or let's go back to Isla Burke.
I think
like Harry Potter is immersive for us, but for him, it's just like an old town. Like it wasn't what he was looking for.
So that's good for Disney.
Yeah, with Harry Potter, though, we'll see that here in the next year or two. I probably shift a little bit with a new TV series coming out. And our kids will be watching. Like I'm going to watch it. And Travis will probably watch it because of me. So we'll start getting that attraction to Harry Potter the same way I did growing up. But as far as the kids thing at Epic, I think right now it just happens to be that it's a Friday. They opened the thing on a Thursday. They didn't open it on a Saturday or a Friday.
Kids are still in school too.
Pandora opened on a Friday, if I remember right. It was either Friday or Saturday. So they purposely put these things on those weekends so that kids can come to the park and be part of this, and they can get those pictures of the kids' interactions for the first time. They knew it was going to be vloggers, influencers going. So the 27th is what Tuesday, but it's the Tuesday after Memorial Day when Villains opens and The Little Mermaid.
And a lot of schools are out after Memorial Day. Like our last day is the 30th, which is a Friday.
So
we're one of the last ones I know of. We're the same way. A lot of people are already out.
This is going to be a lot of kids should be coming in for their vacations, and let's go see the new thing that's open this week. And
let's see the thing that we've never seen before instead of going to Frozen sing along that we've done every other time we've been here. Let's go here to rest.
Because is Little Mermaid opening the same time?
It is.
Yeah, that's going to be great for Hollywood Studios. I mean, especially since Muppets is leaving because we're losing a show, but now they're adding 2. So at least we're going to have people eaters back in there where you're going to have these theaters that they can pull a bunch of people into.
I'm going to be anti-Disney here because you said this. Disney's not.
You mentioned the M word.
Yeah. Disney not doing anything because they're taking one show and they're giving you 2. But guess what? Little Mermaid hasn't reopened since COVID. So it's just not been there. They didn't want to bring the people back. Evidently there was some damage done to the theater at some point that they didn't want to replace. There's nothing to do at Hollywood. So they had to be like, okay, we got to, finally reopen this thing. So might as well redo it. the Racing Academy was there, so they just took it offline for a few months, put a new show in. So they're not really gaining much. They're not. It's a tit for tat.
I'm excited for the Little Mermaid show to open back up
Me
because
too. I love
one
that.
of the like very vivid memories I have of being probably 4 or 5 when we went to Disney, maybe the second time as a kid, was being in that theater and watching that show and remembering the water that's like on the side walls, like when it comes down. Like I remember that and remember Ariel on her clamshell or like the seashell when she comes out. So like I as adult want to go back and be like, I want to watch that and I want to experience that because as a millennial, because we have the Beauty and the Beast show, which is also
Yeah,
my childhood, along now
love it.
with Little Mermaid show coming back.
We need to do an episode where we talk about this, like what we would do to Hollywood studios, bring it up to date, because the Beauty and the Beast show is a good show, but it's so outdated.
Mm-hmm.
Like the costumes are like they're obviously Disney costumes. They're good quality, but they're old.
I feel like we could do this for each individual park.
We
Like we could
but,
have
like Disney doesn't focus on how to update. They just say, "Hey, we're going to close and replace." And I think the cheaper way in some cases with popular attractions like the Beauty and the Beast show, you just update the show instead of saying, "Hey, we're going to recut the Beauty and the Beast live action movie." I think is live action. It might have been the cartoon. I haven't even watched it, but they put in France where it's LeFou's side of the story or something like that.
Oh, yeah, because
Mm.
in Epcot you have the sing along where it's just like the songs
Yeah.
from the movie, right?
So that's all Disney does now is they just try to, here's the cheap way of doing it. Let's put it there and call it new. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they said,
I think that would be a great episode for us, especially to focus on Hollywood studios, because I feel like I have.
well, there's
thoughts.
nothing to do in Hollywood studios.
Well,
Right.
there are also
Yeah.
thoughts of, is it Hollywood Studios anymore since
Going
Yeah,
back to
it's
talking
not-
about the rumors, when they redid the logo, there was talks about a new name for the park because Hollywood Studios doesn't reflect anything that's happening there now because it's Star Wars and Pixar.
well, they're technically movies made in Hollywood.
No, they're not. Star Wars is
Well-
made in London. Pixar is made in California's though. It's not Hollywood. I can't remember. Amityville.
Yeah, because especially once they took out the Great Movie Ride, it kind of like took away
Yeah.
that entire studios feel.
Yeah, and then you're taking out Muppets, so that's kind of that is a movie franchise. It's a TV franchise, but you're taking that out of there.
So is there anything that's going to be left in the park that was like original?
Indiana Jones.
Besides
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones, and probably is the Beauty and the Beast show one of the original things that was there
I don't think so.
in that?
I think there was a show before Beauty and the Beast.
So Indiana Jones, which also needs a huge update. There's been so many movies
Bad
since
Yeah.
then.
Let's be this correct. Bad movies.
Bad movies, but they
I don't
have
want.
something.
I don't want a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Indiana Jones.
No, God, the glass skull.
But
And
then they
Dial of
have
Destiny
things
wasn't
like
better.
the Bourne Stunt Spectacular at Universal,
Yeah,
which
but
is a phenomenal show that
wait,
they couldn't do anything exactly like that because it's too open, but they could definitely update it and use newer tech and things. Again, save this for whenever we talk about how would we
well-
change Hollywood Studios episode.
we'll get some friends on and we'll have a nice big powwow about how we would change Hollywood Studios.
I
No.
feel like you guys wouldn't be ready for my like full on like typed out each little thing that I would probably have.
Dissertation.
This is what I would do, and then this is what I would
think-
do.
Like the guidelines that would have to be, it has to be older than X. So you couldn't go in there and just say, I don't like Star Wars. We're ripping out Galaxy's Edge,
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's new. It has to be 10 years old. That way it's been paid for, quote unquote.
Mhm.
We'll look at doing that. We're going to take a quick commercial break and then we'll come back and talk about Disney Value Resorts since we talked about Deluxe Resorts a few weeks ago.
Are you dreaming of your next adventure but overwhelmed by planning? Magical Travel has you covered. With over 22 years in the business, we specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, cruise vacations, and all-inclusive resort getaways. Our services are 100% complimentary when you book a vacation package with one of our knowledgeable agents. Request a free quote to start the planning process at www.magicaltravel.com. Mention our podcast to be connected with one of our agents you are listening to.
All right, we're back. The real reason that Rachel decided not to come this week was not because she's at Epic Universe, but because we were talking about Value Resorts, and that's the place she does not stay.
It's below her. She can't
It's
do a
below her
value
grade.
But
resort.
she is valuable.
Yeah, she is very valuable to us. She
Yes.
just does not like the Value Resorts. So we do miss her this week once again, but she would be talking a bunch of trash about Value Resorts, and we just can't have that.
No, we can't.
We're going to go in price range from least expensive to most expensive when it comes to the Value Resorts. These are going to be the very minimal based rooms that you get, and the lowest actually doesn't come with rooms. So the campgrounds are in. Terry's like, what do you mean they don't come with
It's like,
rooms?
what are you talking about? They don't have rooms. It's not a hostile situation.
So the base level for value, the cheapest way to stay at Walt Disney World, besides trying to sleep in your car on the side of the road, is to stay at the
Which
campground.
we don't recommend.
Yeah,
No.
do that because security won't like
Orlando is not safe outside the Disney bubble.
it. Yes.
No.
You can sleep in your car in the campgrounds though.
Yes.
That's a great little tidbit if you want to do that. I've seen vloggers do that before they go do a 5K race, but I've thought about it. The past few times I've gone to training with the travel agency, I've taken my my hammock with me so that if it goes long, I can just get a campground and throw my up and take a good slumber that night, get up in the morning, put it all back in the car and get going.
I mean, as someone who camps, like we will take multiple camping trips a year, they have very nice campsites, like how it's laid out with the pads where you can either put a tent or an RV, and the website's really good about telling you like the dimensions of like those areas and what size camper you could put there or tent. And all of the spots I think have water and electricity, and then like a little charcoal grill and a picnic table. And then you can also ask to be close to the bathhouse. So like if you're in a tent and you want to be close to the bathhouse, which also has laundry that has both, you can ask to be close to that too. If you have your own camper, it doesn't matter. Oh, and sewer. I think all of the campsites also have sewer. You want to be close to the bathhouse if you're in a tent versus in a camper, because then you have your own bathroom when you're in the camper. But I would love to stay at the campground. It's just usually when we get to go, it's summertime, and I don't necessarily want to be in a tent in Orlando, Florida in the summertime. People do it. I see it posted all the time that people are there that time of year. And we have even a portable air conditioner that we could take with us to put in the tent. But I just don't know if it could be, feels like 111 degrees during the day.
Let's just talk prices for a second. I do agree with you on that though. I would sleep in a tent. I just don't want to do it in the summer.
Right.
I'm looking at just random dates in June. And for a tent or pop-up campsite, starts at $117. Like I said, these are going to be your cheapest ways to stay. That does not include a tent. That does not include a pop-up. So you're going to have to add that.
Bring your own equipment.
Yeah, this is a you can put up to two tents on it. It has a picnic table. It has a grill. It does not have the sewage, but you don't need it as you are a pop-up or a tent.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you do have full sewage hookup for all the other campsites. So that is nice. And it all depends on pricing, is where you are and what.
Yeah, because they have premium sites and stuff too, depending on closer to the pools and stuff like that.
A preferred site is going to be the ones that are closer to the pools, closer to the meadow, all the rec area stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The premium campsites are going to be longer. So instead of 45, they're 60 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference.
Like the big motor homes and stuff that you can get into those spots.
Right. It will, as just a precaution, not a precaution, but a disclaimer, campsites are usually not included in most of the discounts that you get. because they are so cheap. So they don't want to bring that price down much. But they still, if you want to do Disney dining, you can get that. So
You still get early entry.
Yeah, you still get all the stuff that Disney gets, but you might not get the discounts. So that's your only trade off there. That's the big negative. The campsites that have they're at Fort Wilderness. We never mentioned that they're the campsites at Fort Wilderness. So they also share the cabins, but the cabins are considered a moderate. And then now they also have the DVC cabins. So those are considered deluxe. But it's a nice little thing. I think it's a great option for those who want to try to go as cheap as they can. You can rent an RV. There's different websites that you can use. But that's just one of those things they'll come pull it in, hook it up for you. It's set up so it's just like a hotel room. When you get there, you just have to carry your bags in and you have a place to stay for the week.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at doing this for Halloween next year because they have a great Halloween event, I guess is a great way to say it. There's a lot that,
and I don't even know if it's really like, it's not put on by Disney either. This is just the people who are camping.
It's not discouraged by Disney. Disney actually encourages. They shut the campsites down. Like you can't get into the campground on Halloween day. I know, and maybe it's Christmas Eve or something like that because they do golf cart parades. It's dress up. Everybody who has golf carts dresses up their golf carts and however they can, and then you parade them through. And I don't know if there's awards or anything, but it's cool. It's fun to watch. But Disney will shut down the campground just to make sure there's not an influx of people coming to watch that. So you have to either be staying there or have a reservation for Hoop-Dee-Doo to get into the campgrounds.
And I was just about to mention the Hoop-Dee-Doo.
And some people go all out decorating their campsites and those golf carts for those different holidays and stuff. Like it's pretty awesome. Like when you look at the stuff that they can do.
I highly recommend if you have the time, just look up the campgrounds and see what type of decorations happen because there's a subculture of Disney fans that they live and breathe camping there. And they go, like you just said, Micah, they go all out. There's a yard. What yard they have is all inflatables. There's chalk they put out so everybody can draw, kind of like when you're on a Disney cruise with fish extenders. They do stuff to try to make it a big family event and people have fun and all the kids can run around and play. So it adds that little bit extra of memories because mom and dad can kind of relax because all the kids are running around and playing with each other. We mentioned Hoop-Dee-Doo. That's the restaurant. I can't remember the quick service that's there off the top of my head. Maybe Trails End.
Trails End, and then isn't there like a P&J's that's like a grab and go quick service or something like that?
But all that is right there. They ask you usually if you want to get around to have a golf cart, and all these places have golf cart parking. But I've never done Hoop-Dee-Doo. So
I haven't either. I've always heard great things, but
I've heard the food's great. Like the fried chicken's really good.
I've watched videos and seen people get embarrassed, but I've never eaten there. I'm not
the Chuck Wagon and Trails End restaurant at the campground, and then the Hoop-Dee-Doo musical review.
They used to have the Chippendale campfire thing. They got rid of that when they started building the new resort. They got rid of River Country, and they got rid of a bunch of stuff. The Mickey's Backyard Barbecue. So it's a cool little place. Tricycle D Ranch is right there too, where they keep all the horses for Magic Kingdom and the carriage for weddings.
You can do trail rides. You can do pony rides. You can do archery.
You can pet the horses.
There's a lot of like extracurricular things that you could do. And I think this is why there's such a cult following for like just like the campground and stuff there at Disney, because you could spend an entire week at the campground and still probably have things that you didn't do with those different stuff. Like when I was looking up, like, oh, you can do a whole archery session like for your kid, or a trail ride, or pony rides, or
there's kayaking. You can
there's so much. So, I know someone who actually rented, I don't know if it wasn't from there, but they were able to rent a pontoon boat, like, and they didn't have anyone with them, and they were able to just drive around, and they literally drove to the campground and like was looking at stuff.
That's just cool to me.
I know. I was like, I would love to be on Seven Seas Lagoon and just driving around.
And that should be noted that there is a boat to Magic Kingdom from Fort Wilderness. So you can take a boat. You don't have to take a bus, but you have to take a bus to everything else.
Yeah, because they have
Yeah.
internal bus loops, like for the different like camping loops, and then they have those bus stops for you to get on. So
Yeah.
sometimes with that, like people prefer to drive to the parks when they're doing that, so they don't have to wait on the bus if they have their car.
And that's the reason they ask you about golf carts too. Is you instead of getting on the internal bus, you can drive your golf cart to the main bus
Mm-hmm.
pickup and then get going. Let's move on to the All Star resorts. These are probably my least favorite of all the resorts in this category. I think they're fine. They're just not my cup of tea. We've stayed there probably more than we have at Art of Animation or anything. Pop Century is probably the most I've stayed at, but they're just their price points are fine. You're looking at just under $200 a night, depending on what type of room and which resort you have. So you have 3 resorts in this area. These are right next to Animal Kingdom. You have the All Star Sports, the All Star Music, and then the All Star Movies. Uh, the big thing to remember about these resorts is during cheer competition, band competition, any type of sporting event. This is where the schools usually stay for those, and it's going to be for
Loud.
the sports.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to have a quiet stay the entire time, but this is one of those rooms where I'm here to shower and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
your kids
where
will love it.
we stayed at sports in November. And I mean, I had no complaints at all. Like we were fine. We weren't there during any competitions. Um, but it was loud outside, but I think they've done a pretty good job with the soundproofing because like we were really close to what's the quiet pool. It was not quiet. The music was loud. And we couldn't really hear it once our door was closed, which was nice. And we were not near, we were in the baseball section. So I know the football section is really popular because it has that like football field and the kids, there were always kids out there throwing balls, running, doing everything. I enjoyed it because the resort itself isn't too big. There was actually one night I did not get on the bus to sports because the line was too long. And I saw that the bus for music showed up and there was no one in line for that. And Kova was asleep. So I hopped on that because where our room was, it was the same distance to walk from their bus stop as it was from sports bus stop. So we did that. I've also stayed at music, and we stayed in the family suites at music, which I actually prefer the family suites at music over Art of Animation because you get an actual kitchenette with an actual like apartment size refrigerator, and you have counter space and 2 big bathrooms. You have your king size bed and then your 2 full size beds that fold down. I just felt like we had more space there.
I will, and I've never stayed. That's the one I haven't stayed in a family suite. I've stayed in all 3 resorts, but it's always been in just the regular rooms, whether they're preferred or standard. When we stayed up, and like you said, they're close. Like you can be standing outside of movies and see music. You know, your room back up to the last building for music or sports or whatever's right there. My personal opinion, I think these 3 resorts probably are the ones that most need a full makeover on the outside versus the inside.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to movies. You have the Toy Story section for movies, but then you have Herbie the Love Bug, Fantasia,
101 Dalmatians.
Yeah. Fantasia 2000, which I personally love. I mean, I have Chinnerbog tattooed on my body, and Sorcerer Mickey is my favorite Mickey. And then you have the Mighty Ducks. So I feel like for kids in today's time frame, they don't connect to all those movies. You could probably
needs to go.
Yeah, you can keep 101 Dalmatians, probably. You can definitely keep Toy Story since they're coming out with Toy Story 5 in a couple of years. But everything else just kind of probably needs to be rethought. You could keep the Sorcerer Mickey pool because everybody knows who Sorcerer Mickey is with Fantasmic and the Animator's Palette on the Disney Cruise Line.
Fantasmic.
I said that.
Yeah.
Did you say Fantasmic?
I said with Fantasmic.
Oh, I'm thinking PhilharMagic.
But she's in that too. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's like, and you go over to the other, like the music is country. I don't even.
Jazz.
Yeah, country, jazz,
calypso,
which is
steel drums. I love that.
Yeah, it's Jamaican, Mexican style music.
I
Like
think it is called like the
salsa.
Calypso section.
Yeah, but it's like salsa or something like that. Like that's the music
Yeah, country is the furthest back.
Then what's
I'm
the
trying
last
to
one?
think.
Classical, isn't it? Classical.
Maybe it's classical because I'm trying to think. We stayed in the Calypso section. That was like the second set of buildings. And the first section, I think, is jazz. I think it's jazz. Is the first, like the preferred rooms. I loved our time there. Again, that was another like the reason we stay a lot of times at the All-Star resorts is again we're pretty much at the parks the whole time. Like we're not there spending time at the resorts as much. Like we'll take a break in the middle of the day, and Kova will come and swim. And we might have a break day like in the middle or something, but we're not I don't want to spend my money on one of the nicer resorts when I'm not going to be there that much. Like I would rather have somewhere that's comfortable to go lay down and sleep, and also not a big resort because some of the resorts can be pretty big.
Yeah, that was our problem with Caribbean Beach.
Yeah.
We didn't it was so big. It was pretty, but it was so and then we didn't like the room stuff much either, but we'll talk about that later.
When we do moderate resorts.
When we do moderates. But yeah, we had the same thing. Like sometimes like the resorts are just too big.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no benefit. Like the buses then are full by the time they come around. Like if you're
Did you say rock and roll?
Broadway.
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 They also like at All Star Sports and All Star Music, they're not Disney themed. Like, I mean, you have Disney characters mixed in with things. Like in the tennis section, Donald is there. In the music stuff, you'll see things and like in the artwork in the rooms, but it's not like movies where it's Disney.
Broadway is the Disney Broadway music.
Okay.
Because it's Mary Poppins and Beauty and the Beast.
I mean, I love those resorts again because they're smaller, easier, not super expensive to stay at.
You're getting what you pay for.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if when you had it pulled up, if you saw the family suite prices, but they're a lot cheaper than Art of Animation. A lot cheaper. I mean,
and those rooms are right next to the lobby. Like they're not.
And the pool. Like we were so close to the pool.
So you're paying for a preferred room. And really what you're paying for when you're paying for that, they took 2 existing rooms combined. Mm-hmm. That's why you have as much room as you do.
Yep.
Versus Art of Animation. Because
where they made them suites from the get-go. Which again, I love.
Is right now going for $342 a night. If that's to stay longer and save more. Or the standard price is $403.
But still, that's like almost half the price of what the Art of Animation suites are.
I know it's at least $100 cheaper. Like
let's see.
When you go.
I just felt like because it was 2 actual beds, because at Art of Animation, one of the beds is from the couch. Like an actual, like when we were there, it was a couch bed, not.
I think they've changed it.
And a Murphy bed is better than a couch bed. The Lion King family suites and the car suites are $465 at Art. And that's the stay longer price. They're $581 standard. And the Nemo suites are $491 or they're $614.
Those are the preferred rooms.
That's the one I would compare them to because that's the same location. While we're still on All-Star right quick, the sports, y'all talked about that a little bit, you know, football, baseball, all that stuff. My biggest gripe with staying at the All-Stars is on the lower end of crowd days or during the day when it's less people going back and forth to resorts. They'll usually flip from each resort getting its own bus to all 3 share a bus. So if you're staying at sports, you get on the bus, you still might hit music, movies, and then you're on the way. Or if you're at movies,
if they're sharing buses and you're at sports, you're the first to get off.
Yes. But if you're staying at movies, you're the last to get off.
Yeah.
So there's plus and minuses to it. I prefer to be, and French Quarter does the same thing with theirs. And the deluxes, you'll see Grand Flow and Poly share a bus when it's a little bit lower because they don't want to be driving 20,000 buses around. Mm-hmm. It makes sense. It's just a small gripe I have.
Yeah. Positive. I mean, and honestly, the 3 or 4 times we've been there and we try to go when it's not as busy. We, knock on wood, have not had shared buses, even if when we're coming back in the middle of the day. Like I saw the bus just leave and go back like to Magic Kingdom or wherever it was going back to. It didn't turn to go to the other resorts.
And I think they have tried to get away from that more so. It's more of a Disney Springs type thing where that's being seen than the parks, but it's still something to think about in the back of
And
your
there's
head.
nothing worse than like trying to rush to a reservation. And then
Yes.
you see the bus is going to another part of the resort. And you're like,
And
no.
it could do the same
Yeah.
thing for like ESPN. You know, not many people are going to go to ESPN for Run Disney or something like that. So it could be sharing. Something small positive, I guess, if you want to call it positive, if you like this type of stuff. You are within walking distance of a McDonald's.
You
There's
are. And
only
it's a
McDonald's on
cool
property.
looking McDonald's.
So if you're getting tired of the Disney fast food and you want some super unhealthy fast food, you can go
McDonald's
to
fast food.
And you are very close to Animal Kingdom. Like you get to Animal Kingdom very quickly. Downside, you're the furthest from Magic Kingdom. I feel like it definitely is a decent bus ride. You're not far from Hollywood Studios either. Like I feel like it really doesn't take that long to get to Hollywood Studios.
Because the entrance I think for Hollywood Studios on the backside, but just if you're driving, it's right there.
Yeah.
But the only further resort from Magic Kingdom would be Animal Kingdom Lodge, because that's just a little bit down the road. But yeah, those are those positive negatives that I have about those resorts. They're great. I don't like them. I prefer not to stay there. But at the same time, when we were looking for our trip this week, it was, do we want to stay at Universal? Do we want to stay at Disney? Disney with rates that they had versus what were over at Universal. We decided to stay at Terra instead of All Star. So I'll knock them, but I'll still go and stay there.
And I guess another thing to say is they're like the old motel style where your doors are on the outside. You don't go inside.
That's all the standard rooms for the value resorts. And that's also all the rooms for the moderate resorts. They're all
So that's everything
outside.
but deluxe, right?
Yeah. And
I've never stayed moderate or deluxe, so I wouldn't know.
Art of Animation has indoor facing, like inside facing doors
only for the suites.
Family suites.
Yeah.
So,
but I will say we've stayed at Art of Animation one time, and to me that was the loudest as far as door closings. I feel like anytime someone opened or closed the door, whether it was right above us or right beside us, like 5 doors down, you heard it. I don't know if it was because they were inward facing and it echoed through like the hallways or whatever. And like my husband was like, we will never stay here again. I can't sleep. This is ridiculous. So something else to keep in mind.
So we'll move over there. These are sister resorts, Pop Century and Art of Animation. Once again, if the bus lines, if they're slow, they might share a bus. Also, to Micah's point, though, is if you're staying Art and it's a super long line, hop on the Pop Century bus and you can walk over the bridge and get there.
But that's only if you're going to
Magic Kingdom or
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom, yeah. Because you got the Skyliner that's on Hourglass Lake, which is a great way to get to Epcot and to Hollywood Studios. That's probably like, besides that, even before they had put Skyliner in, Pop Century has always been our go-to. It seems like it's cleaner, it's nicer. It's not. They're all about the same. It's just that it was more widespread, I think.
Yeah. And the Skyliner entrance is actually on the Pop Century side of the lake.
Yes.
So if you're at Art, you have to go across that bridge to get to the Skyliner entrance.
If you're going in the morning when there's a line, you have to walk over to like this. I think it's the 50s area for Pop Century. Again, that line. But I love Pop. The theming's fun. I think everybody can still get around the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. The 50s, I think that's kind of like a here or there type thing. But it's such a big resort that you can always find a room. They have the hippity dippity pool, which is
hippy dippy pool.
And they just opened a new like coffee section to their quick service.
Yeah, they redid their whole food court, which
called Everything's Pop.
Everything has a food court. That's the only way to eat at All Star and all 3 All Star resorts and Art of Animation and Pop Century is the food court. Like if you're eating there, there's no other options but the food court. So another plus one for campgrounds, you have Hoop-de-Doo, Trails End and
Mhm.
the Chuck Wagon.
Did you guys see for the refurb for Everything's Pop that they for the mobile order thing, they actually have cubbies now, and your stuff will be in the cubby versus you have to walk up and show
Ooh,
it.
I didn't see that. I love that.
Like it's a whole mobile order thing where it's like, when you go pick up your, DoorDash or whatever that you ordered online at a restaurant, like you go and it's in there. So instead of like waiting in that line and like showing that number, I think it's like right there and you just get your stuff out of the thing.
So we're talking about like the food courts. The weirdest thing to me of all these resorts is the fact that you have to walk through. Oh, it's not all of them. It's just this is Pop Century of Art of Animation. You have to walk through the gift shop to get to the food court. You can go outside and go into the food court, but if you're in the
Yeah.
lobby, you actually have to walk through the gift shop and then go to the food.
I guess I don't remember that when I was
Yeah.
at Art of Animation.
Like,
We had
if you're
such a
talking the
quick trip.
main lobby, you do, but if, like he said, if you're coming from the back where the pool is, then you walk right to the food court. But yeah,
It's just
Oh.
it's right there when you're trying to eat. Your kids were looking at all that stuff.
Right.
in the gift shop.
Those 10 steps it takes you to get from the entrance of Everything Pop, and I don't remember the shop over at Art of Animation, over into the food court. Those kids can pick up that Mickey plush, that pin, that toy, whatever.
Pins, magnets that just the
Disney
easy to
knew
grab
what they were
stuff.
doing, but it's just a
We
little.
bought a Stitch
odd.
last time.
Yeah.
That was
Now
last
for-
March, and they were already starting the Stitch marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now, if we're
that's so
talking
cool.
about theming, I think Art of Animation wins in the value resort category because I love the theming there. Like
Yeah.
when we went, we were supposed to stay in a Little Mermaid room. I had paid for a Little Mermaid room, and it was a very short trip. Like literally got there on Thursday night, like super late. Like I think my plane landed at 11:30. Got there, did 2 days in the parks, drove home with my parents on Sunday because they had gotten off a cruise and met us there. And we were super lucky and got upgraded to a Finding Nemo suite. So
Oh, wow.
it was great. So we had way more space than what we thought because we were going to cram 3 adults and a small child into a Little Mermaid room. And I didn't realize that walk to those Little Mermaid rooms is pretty long.
Yes.
So long.
It's a
was pregnant.
long walk. It's again super themed well. The area was nice, but we on our last day before we got in the car to drive home, we were like, well, let's just walk around, look at all the different areas. Of course, my son's favorite was Cars. And again,
Mhm.
it's impeccably themed. It's great. I love everything. Even when you're in the Finding Nemo section, you hear the seagulls on the side of the building. But we walked to the Little Mermaid section and I was like, this is a walk. Like I could see how people would complain at the end of the night because they're tired from being in the parks all day.
So here's a little
Yep.
pro tip from when I've stayed at, I think I've only stayed 2 or 3 times in the Little Mermaid. And that's the same thing over at Pop Century. Because if you don't know, Pop Century was a 2-sided resort. When they originally built Pop Century, they're like, okay, there was a second, like the 1900s, the 1910s, the 1920s, 40s.
Which was
That
supposed to be Art of Animation.
Yeah, where Art of Animation is now. They'd actually built the lobby in one of the buildings, which is the Little Mermaid rooms now. And I think the foundations were poured. And then 9/11 happened. Travel like went way down, so they like put a stop to it. And then we finally get Art of Animation. So whatever building that is at Pop Century that Little Mermaid is in, if you can just walk right across the parking lot and get to the buses, and it's so much faster than to walk all the way around and go through everything. Okay, they're the buses. Let's go. So
It's a good idea.
We weren't, we walking in between cars, but we also didn't have a kid at the time, so we didn't have a stroller.
Yeah.
It'd be probably different now. Positive about Art of Animation, probably the best food court on Disney property.
I also love their lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food court is called Landscape of Flavors. They have pasta, they have pizza, they have burgers, they have Chinese. I mean, it's all crazy, but great food. I know a lot of people who have left a park and they're staying at another resort and come to Art of Animation to eat lunch because they wanted something good.
Mm-hmm.
To Micah's point, though, the lobby, beautiful. It's all concept art up to release art of the characters you see in the movies represented. So Lion King, Little Mermaid, Finding Nemo, and Cars. Did I say Cars twice?
Mm-mm.
I don't
You're
think so.
tired.
I am very tired. So that's cool to see, like the progression of how like Lightning McQueen or Flounder, Triton,
The
any of those
difference
people.
in Simba, like
Yeah.
when you see the
Yeah.
difference in what that early concept art is to what he looks like now.
Another little cool thing to look for is the chandelier. They have a concept art chandelier in front of the store that we were just talking about. You can look up there, and John Lasseter has signed a picture, and I think Jodie Benson has signed a picture of Ariel. So they actually come in there, and people will sign their characters. I don't think Owen Wilson knows anything about art of animation, so you're not going to see like Lightning McQueen.
You're not
Signature.
gonna see Lightning McQueen's signature.
But yeah, I think value resorts are a great option for families to stay at. It's a cheap alternative. We didn't talk prices for these. We did talk about the art of animation for a little bit. The regular rooms usually start around $290 for Little Mermaid. To also preface, usually Little Mermaid is disqualified from those promotions as well because they want you to spend the money on a family suite.
Yeah.
Always read the fine print.
Yes, that's why.
And
Also,
$229 right
also
now
fun
with the
fact,
savings.
Art of Animation has the largest pool on Disney property, the Big Blue Pool, which is the Finding Nemo pool, which is so fun and really well themed. And they even have like a little kids splash area. It's great.
And then they have underwater speakers.
Yes.
Oh, do
So
they?
have the
I never
underwater
got in the
speakers there.
pool because we were there in January and it was cold, but somehow Chakova still swam. So
I can always swim.
All the pools are heated, so you can swim in December if you decide you want to.
I was wearing a hoodie and jeans. I was
gonna say,
not.
but it's so cold when you get out. My kids, we went in March last year and they were in there and it was sunny. So it was, if you were in the sun, it was warm, but you get in that shade. And I was like, I had like the towel wrapped around me and they were just swimming away.
Pop Century starts around $250 around the time that I'm looking, which is still that June time frame. So this is going to be a higher end price point for these things. Just to give you an idea, yeah, they'll come down. I don't remember these going above or below 200 much. Right now, though, you can stay at All Star Music for under $100 with discounts at certain days. Get in contact with one of us. We'll be able to tell you what days and how to figure that one out so that you can stay.
My fake dates I put in were September, and right now you can get in pop for $190.
Okay.
So
September does seem to be a good
looking
time
for
to
that.
go.
That's a good, not terrible weather time. But
Not
if you do
terrible
stay
weather,
longer,
about
save
the
more,
Halloween
that's
party and
$190.
stuff like that. So
Hurricanes.
yeah, the
So-
hurricanes.
And I mean, the pool
It's
view is $206. So for
historically,
$16
it's
more.
also the least busy time of year to go.
It's still hot, but it's not July hot.
It is so hot in September as well.
November is also hot. So I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and like I said, all these packages we'll be able to look through and make sure you get the best deal possible for any value resort.
Yeah.
Couple more pros. We talked a little bit about that Skyliner. You can't kill it. Like,
That's why we stay at Pop. I
Like,
love the Skyliner more than the sneaky monorail.
Yeah, the Skyliner never stops. Well, I don't say never. The Skyliner does stop, but you're not stopped for more than 10 minutes. But that line is constantly moving. So you're always getting on. You're not waiting for a bus every 20 minutes. You're just waiting to get on the Skyliner. Then you're sitting and you have most of the time a gondola by yourself.
Yeah.
And you get out, you switch over. If you're at when you're at Hollywood Studios or Epcot, you switch over to Pop Century and you start going. And you're back at your room.
And your strollers usually roll on.
Yeah.
As long as it's
gondola.
a single stroller.
Yeah. You I think one of our double strollers did too. I can't remember.
As long as it's front and back, I think. If it's side by side, you have to fold it.
But you can't do that on the buses. And nothing's worse than pulling all the crap that you've stuffed in the stroller all day.
Or
you
a
have to pull
sleeping
that out
child.
and fold it up. Yeah, to get on the bus.
Here's my little hint as a newer parent than y'all. I bought a Duna.
Dunas weren't out. We had kids.
Yeah. So the whole reason we bought a Duna, and for those listening that don't know, a Duna is a carrier that converts to a stroller, like the wheels come up into the carrier, was so that if Travis fell asleep in the stroller, we could just drop it down and he's in a baby carrier and it was fine to carry on to the to the bus. So that was
Yeah.
our
Duna wasn't a thing when Kova was born. Also, just to note, usually in January near the end of the month, they do a shutdown of the Skyliner to do like a refurbishment, and usually that's for a couple weeks. So just FYI, when we were there a couple years ago in January, Skyliner was not running, which is probably why they upgraded us to a different room, because the resort itself just wasn't very busy while we were there. Like there was hardly any people at the pool. We barely saw people inside the food court. So that this year they skipped it, but they already announced the dates for next year.
I think it's becoming more reliable. So
Mm-hmm.
it might go to from an every year type thing to an every other year.
Yeah.
And there's always been rumors about an expansion to the Skyliner. So if you're at one of these original resorts and that happens, it's just going to make it even better for you, because getting from one.
Yeah, I wish everything was available to the Skyliner, like all the parks.
I mean, that's the downside to All Stars, like just value resort wise, is your only transportation option is buses. All Star or Art of Animation and Pop Century, you do have Skyliner to 2 of the resorts, and then buses to the other 2.
And then you have the boat at least to Magic. So
yeah,
they all have their pros and cons. I mean, do you want to take a boat to Magic Kingdom? Well, you got to sleep on the ground, or you got to sleep in an RV.
well then, no, I don't want to take a boat.
And save money. I mean, you can take a boat over Magic Kingdom if you're staying at, Grand Floridian or Polynesian Wilderness Lodge. But, that's not a value resort.
Right. I mean, I love value resorts because, again, we are park people. So we will spend our money on the park tickets and the experiences in the parks over the resorts. Like if I take an adults only trip and we were going to spend more time at the resorts, I'd be more willing and wanting probably to spend that money at a moderate or a deluxe.
And the refurb they did at Pop was really nice. Like we had never stayed there. My sister went with her kids and her husband, and they tried it because they were offering like a really good price. And she was like, "Oh, these are like spacious." Because a lot of times the value is the rooms aren't that big.
Which we didn't talk about.
That Murphy bed opens up a lot of space.
Yeah, we didn't really go in depth on the rooms because we mentioned it with the family suites, but these rooms all have one queen bed that's just 100% a bed the entire time. The other bed is a table. So it's a Murphy style bed that you pull down, and you get that little bit of extra room because there's a small eating table and the kids can run around. And then when it's time to go to bed, you just pull this bed down. It's made, there's lights for them. It has usually a pretty cool cartoon with some of the Disney characters.
Kids think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
That their bed comes for the wall.
Both of the All-Star ones, it's like Huey, Dewey, and Louie sleeping, and there's like a dream bubble above them.
Yeah.
So those, and Art of Animation, I can't remember off the top of my head, honestly. I was just there. I know they did a refurb. I can't remember if they did
I haven't been there since I had kids. I remember I was like 6 months pregnant making that long walk you were talking about, Mike.
They do have the table for one, but I think it's a full size. It's not a.
It is a full size.
Yeah.
Because I slept on that one.
And then they still have a couch as a pull-out couch.
Yep. And I made my child sleep on that because he's a kid. That's the good thing about the ones that's the Murphy bed, is it's an actual mattress. That's the same mattress that's on the other bed that just folds into the wall. It's fantastic.
You don't have to really make it to fold it up.
Nope,
like we
you just
kind of
shove it back up in there.
I thought we were gonna have to like make everything super flat for it to fit back in there perfectly. No, you can just kind of throw the crap on there and fold it up, and it's good.
Yep.
So I think that was probably the best idea they had when they put those in. I was very pleased with them. When the beds are down, when that other bed is down, it does bring a little bit more closeness to everybody. You can't, I'm a bigger guy, so going in between the beds is a little bit harder.
And on that Murphy bed, like those corners,
they
hurt your shins. Yeah, I ran into it quite a few times.
The other thing I will say too is when we stayed moderate with the 2 queens, we were able to roll our stroller in at night, double stroller. This is a side by side, I think. And we didn't have to collapse it at night. It just kind of had a corner of the room. We tucked it in and just kind of threw our bags and stuff that we took to the park every day on that. There's no way we could have done that in Pop Century once you pull down the Murphy bed. They're just like you said, there just was not a lot of walk around space once that bed is down.
Because you have to move those chairs somewhere too. So you have to find somewhere for those chairs to go.
So if you have a stroller and you're not renting one from the park, then think about at night, you've got to store that stroller, whether you pack it up or whether you leave it out, it's got to go somewhere. So that might.
We talked about how the campgrounds do their fun things with everything. The values have not they don't have cult followings like Pop Century kind of does, but they have their own identity of themselves. When people go there, a lot more room decorations are happening. You have people putting stuff on their doors. They decorate the windows, so you're always walking by. It's so and so's birthday. It's so and so's anniversary. Just married. Family vacation, sports teams, whatever. So it's cool that your people are taking these rooms and kind of dressing them up. And then once again, for the holidays, Christmas and everything, they'll put Christmas trees in the window, and you get to see that, and they add to the ambiance of the area. So there's people that go, that's where they stay. That's where they always want to stay because they can do that. They know it's acceptable there versus going to Grand Flow and putting all this stuff on your doors, and that's
I don't think you do that there.
Hotel.
Mm-mm. We actually really enjoyed walking around and looking at the different decorations people had in the rooms because we were there at the beginning of November. So some people were doing Christmas type things. Some people still had their Halloween stuff up because we were kind of there that first week of November. And there were people who did that whole like little pixie dusting thing where they actually had things like taped to their door for people to take. What is it called on cruise lines? The
fish extenders.
So very similar to that. And they would like post in the Facebook groups. Like if there's a All-Star Sports Facebook group, like, hey, come to room whatever. We have things like on the door for people to take, like little knickknacks or this and that.
Yeah, I think as far as kids go, they 100% prefer the value resorts because it's just full immersion. I mean, my husband said one time going to Grand Floridian, it's like going to grandma's house. Like it's nice, but it's not fun.
Yeah,
it's great for adults, maybe not for kids.
When you think of Disney, you think about the full on Disney theme and going into these resorts and seeing like just Disney blasted at you, and that's what the value resorts are. They want oversized helmets, oversized jukebox. You have Roger Rabbit that's 4 stories tall. You're getting what you pay for. I mean, it's overly Disney, and it's just overstimulating for that. But if you're not a Disney person having to go on a Disney vacation, you don't want to stay something like that. Like you want to go stay where.
Yeah. Or like you said, if you're on a girls trip or a honeymoon or a proposal type trip, you might want to go somewhere that's not just a blast of Disney in your face. That might be a little more quieter.
And some of those resorts do have king size beds. Like there's not many, but they do have rooms that are king size beds.
I think.
I know Pop has them. Anything else we want to mention about the value resorts?
I think there's not a bad resort to stay at Disney World. A lot of people may not like value resorts, but I think it all depends on your preference, your price point, but there's no bad place to stay.
We've had great times. Like I said, multiple trips with family, but even more trips with our friends. We were talking before we started recording about a friend that we've taken to Disney multiple times. We've always stayed Pop Century or Art of Animation, and we've ended up at the pool bar multiple nights. Having a drink with each other after the parks, putting our feet in the pool type thing. It's just been great memories, great fun. You got to remember these are theme parks that you're going into. So these resorts are more for the kids. So you're going to have the yelling and running around. But if you get past it and go sit at the pool bar, go sit at they don't really have lobby bars. They have the outside bar now. But you can go do that and have a good little time as an adult, just relaxing. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Castles of Cauldrons. If you have some time, please go and follow us on any of our social media accounts. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Are we on the Twitter? I don't think we're on the Twitter, are we?
We have a Twitter handle, but we don't tweet very often.
We're or is it X?
We save our hot takes for Twitter. We don't have very many hot takes yet. So.
That's all. Oh, we're Castle of Cauldrons everywhere. We have two Facebook pages. There's one that's a friend request one, and one that's just randomly open. So you can find us all on those, and give us a follow. Share any of the great podcasts that we have. The next episode we're going to have is going to be talking a little bit about Epic Universe with Rachel, like we've mentioned before, and we're going to talk about the sister place of Universal and their value resorts and what they have to offer. I personally think they have some better things to offer at their values than Disney, but I'm also more in the Universal lifestyle at this point. No surprise anywhere. If you want us to plan one of your value resort vacations or a deluxe Disney cruise, anything like that, you can get a hold of us at magicaltravel.com, and we will be glad to give you a no obligation quote. If it's not one of us, it's one of our great agents over there. Until the next time, we will see you on the next show.
Bye.
Bye.